Welcome to the ToothSketch podcast series. I'm Dr. Shreya and I'm here with my colleague Dr. Choksi.
Hello everyone.
Together, Dr. Choksi and I, we want to help our dental community adopt digital dentistry in the most efficient manner. And today, Mr. Mark Patterson, the founder and CEO of Patterson Restorative Solutions, joins us to share his thoughts on this new phase of dentistry. With almost 4 decades of experience in dentistry, Mark has been at the forefront of adopting digital workflow. He has been running Patterson Dental Lab in the south of England since the 80s, and his in-depth knowledge of the traditional lab techniques as well as the newer technology is unrivaled. Welcome, Mark. It's a pleasure to have you here on this podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm honoured to be invited. Thank you, guys. And it makes me feel very old telling people I have 4 decades of experience, but it's not incorrect.
I know Mark since last 7 years now, when I was doing my implant diploma, and he was one of my mentors and the director of the course which I was doing with Royal College of Surgeons and FGDP. He used to work with Mark, and he used to do a lot of digital work because Mark and him had a trio of scanner invested into his practice, and my mentor used to do full arch cases. And he used to say, "Oh, look at it, full arch cases with digital work." And I used to be like, "Wow, that's what we need to think of." Yeah. So it's a great journey.
I also learned very much from the gentleman you're talking about. He's a very generous man, and much of what I learned I still use every day.
Oh yes, Pete is amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and how else have things been? Over the last 1 year, with the COVID lockdowns and everything.
Yeah. So when March 2020 came along and our esteemed leaders locked us all down, my thoughts were, oh my God, it's the end of the world, and nothing's ever going to be the same again. But after a few weeks of navel gazing and started to attend webinars, and indeed we started putting on our own webinars, I realised that actually this horrendous global pandemic crisis will come to an end at some point, and then the opportunities will awaiting us will be amazing. So we continued our investment in digital, both in human training and in capital investments. And when the lockdown in the UK was released in, I think it was June, I was expecting about a 50% sort of return of business. But actually by the time we got to August, we were as busy as before. And then September, October and November were incredible months of business. So we did huge amounts of restorative work. It's got a little quieter now in January with this second wave, but I truly believe this will all be over by Easter because the vaccines will kick in. Excuse me, and then I think there's going to be huge pent-up demand for the types of dentistry that we do.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what my patients say, that, oh, you know what, I'm not going for any holidays. I'm not spending any money anywhere else. Might as well spend on my teeth this year.
And I think also many people are seeing themselves on Zoom calls and team meetings, and perhaps being slightly more critical of their teeth as part of their overall package. I know I didn't realise how fat I was until I started seeing myself on so I'm trying to do something about that. But you're right, Choksi. People are not spending money in the normal way. Holidays, meals out, new cars, even so. A little spent on their dentistry is going to be a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
Very true. And actually, in a way, digital dentistry is the future in such situations, because of the reduced risk of infection transmission from the dentist to the lab.
Absolutely. We're seeing not only new dentists doing digital workflow every week, but a lot of our traditional guys have finally brought forward their decisions to invest in intraoral scanners, purely from a perspective of a perspective of positioning themselves with the general public of looking after health. So,
absolutely,
if you're a patient, the very fact that you're going into a wonderfully clean clinical environment, and that they're using technology which absolutely has minimum transmission of anything, as opposed to the traditional impressions trays of goo, then it's a no-brainer, quite honestly.
Exactly.
absolutely.
And so digital dentistry has been anyways growing leaps and bounds over the last decade. So what do you think are the driving factors? What do you think are the advantages that digital dentistry provides?
So the biggest step change for me and my team of technicians, and we still do traditional work, but we are seeing an ever more swing towards digital. The biggest benefits are the efficiencies and the accuracy. So once the dental technicians have kind of learned that when they get into work in the morning, they turn on their screens and look for STL files coming in, as opposed to dies and models in front of them. It takes a little while to get used to that. It's a very different discipline. But then we have found that the remake rate has dropped dramatically with digital files. We found the ability to revisit the file, even if there's been a fracture or damage to the restoration years on, is so useful, because we've already got all the data there. You know, the dentist doesn't have to re-prepare the tooth. We can literally make a replacement and send it out. But that actually doesn't happen very often, because the accuracy is so good in the first place. So we've got efficiency. We have got the digitization, the simplicity of working, the reproducibility, and purely from an economic basis, if you're getting a digital file in your inbox, you haven't got to have sent a driver to collect the impressions or use the couriers or the post. You haven't got to pour the models. You haven't got to cut down. It's the amount of dust and waste is minimised, and we can offer a much more cost-effective restoration, because we're taking a third of the cost out. So in any laboratory, collecting impressions, making the models, sectioning the models, trimming the dies, getting everything ready to go, is a third of the cost of the final restoration. So we've passed that saving on to the dentists that we work with.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely spot on what I think as well about digital dentistry. Mark, what are your suggestions to people who have small labs and they want to get into digital dentistry? What sort of equipments and what sort of investment they are looking into?
So when digital first came about, your minimum investment was still in the region of £20,000 to £30,000. But over the last few years, tremendous businesses like Skillbond, and there are others, I'm sure, who offer the same service, means that you can actually go and rent or lease the scanners that they provide. And indeed, that's what my own business has done for the last 3 years of our growth. We're only just now looking at purchasing our own, because the economies of scale have got so big. But for any small lab or technician working on his own, I would say just rent the scanner. It's a few £100 per month. The beauty of it is you can just send it back at any time. I think it's only a month's notice. You get all sorts of upgrades included in the package, and then you can scan in your models. You don't even have to have a super highly skilled digital designer, because you can send your scanned in models or the STL files that come in from your dentist to a company like ToothSketch and have their designers design it for you. So it actually means that as a dental technician, you become a master of the finishing, the staining and the glazing and layering if you still want to do it. But you can spend more time then promoting your business, marketing your business, and talking to your dentist customers about how great digital is. So we found that by using outsourcing, it's a huge benefit for everybody.
Yeah, that's actually a very good idea for any small business starting out.
Yeah, what you suggested, that's an amazing idea for all small lab technicians and small lab owners to reduce their cost and try invest into things and lease things and get into digital dentistry. So what other changes, if any, as you said, that one of the key changes you have seen is that instead of seeing impressions, now you're seeing STL files in the morning on your desk. Any other changes which you can think of in your day-to-day operation after you have digitalized your lab?
Sure. The main benefit is the ability to communicate with our dentist customers. So we invite our dentists to screen share with us and look at their designs as we're putting them together. This gives an amazing amount of feedback to the dentist or the team that you're working with, because suddenly they can say, oh no, I don't like this, or I do like that, or can you make the buccal corridors wider? It's a fantastic tool for sharing ideas, because over the 40 years, as you put it, Sharia, that I've been working, I've always, the frustration has been that the prescribing dentist will have a vision in his or her head of what they're looking for. The technician will have their own viewpoint and way of working, and this means that the miscommunication or the misalignment of ideas is totally minimised. We've also started doing a service where this has to be pre-booked, but the dentist can keep the patient in the chair. We can view the STL files, do a very quick sort of mock-up of what the improvements can be, and the patient can approve it straight away. And the astute patients have input. You know, they often they'll want a completely different look to their smile than we would do as dental professionals. It's not always pretty, but at the end of the day, the patient is the person paying for this. You know?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I have noticed as well. After I changed my practice into digital dentistry, I started communicating more with the lab in those sense, the same things which you focused and highlighted on. And it's an amazing plus point, because you don't have to mill or print anything till I authorize it. You know, if I have a fussy patient, I'll be like, okay, don't send me anything, just send me the STLs.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can do mock-ups and trials in the mouth until we get totally right before anything is milled. It's a total game changer in terms of bringing together or squaring the circle between the patient, the dentist, and the lab. I can't praise it enough.
Yes. What about any pitfalls which newbies have to think of or will have to, be aware of?
Yeah, there are pitfalls. Obviously, there is a steep learning curve, because to suddenly go from your Bunsen burner to a mouse is a huge leap. So this is why I would recommend looking at the simplicity of digital to start with, the scanning of dies and models, and the taking in of STL files, and then outsourcing the design to ToothSketch. The biggest thing I would be wary of is being seduced by a silver-tongued salesperson into not only buying the scanning equipment, which we've already discussed you don't need to do, but don't jump into getting a 3D printer or a milling machine too soon. You can get tremendous deals from companies who have already got these relatively large investment machines, and therefore Therefore, you can build up your digital workflow. You can build up your relationships with dentists long before having to make the investments of many tens of thousands of pounds in these things. We've, as I said, my latest business has been going for 3 years, and we've only just got our first milling machine. We've just been using many companies that we outsource files to for all this time, and it's it's worked well. It worked very well. And talk to your accountant about it. It's not always necessary to make the capital investment too early in the cycle of business.
So if you do have to invest, what would you suggest would be the first thing to invest in?
So a course on digital dentistry would be the first investment to educate yourself. If we're talking about a small lab or a one-man band here, just wanting to start out. So yes, invest in education. Do lots of research online. Talk to companies who can lease you or rent you a scanner. They're a huge source of help to you, because at the end of the day, they want your business. They want you to be part of their network. Then obviously you've got to invest in good quality staining and glazing materials for making the zirconia or the Emax restorations that come back to you look alive. You'll find as a dental technician, because you're doing less and less layering of ceramics, that the time you can spend on staining and glazing and value add, working from digital photographs of the patient, can make stunning results. I've got a couple of girls in my organisation who make zirconia and Emax look more alive than I could ever do with layering. If I go back a few years, absolutely. Yeah. And there's a lot of artistic skill, but the materials have got good, and the things to copy online. I mean, YouTube is a godsend for us all, isn't it? So it's a very useful means. Yeah. So your initial investments are relatively small. And indeed, many laboratories will already have the stains and things laying around from other projects. So that would be my advice. Is just start small, build it up.
Absolutely. Just to finish off, as a last question from my side will be, as you said, that there are dental technicians who will have to make a lot of changes, and dentists who will have to make a lot of changes. While adapting to new techniques, and digital dentistry is one of those. And that is a steep curve in terms of learning when you're coming from conventional or analog dentistry to digital dentistry.
Yeah.
What do you think you have seen in terms of dentists? As you mentioned earlier, that a lot of dentists who are quite into analog way are moving towards digital dentistry. How do you think what do they feel about digital dentistry at this point, after they have adopted it and after they have started using it? What is your comment on those, and what do you get as feedback from them?
Okay, so virtually all, and I can only think of one or two exceptions out of several hundred dentists, say they're never going to go back. They are so overwhelmed and excited by the benefits of digital that we've already discussed, that it's amazing. Actually, I have to tell you, it's quite amazing. When I first started out switching from analog to digital, I was relatively skeptical. I've been a traditional dental technician all my life, and when we first made a pair of I think it was a premolar and a first molar screw retained implant restorations, model free, I was so skeptical. I drove 100 miles to go to the surgery to be there at the fit appointment, and I was all the way I was thinking, we're going to have to adjust the interproximal contacts, there's going to be occlusal errors, there's all this and the other, what if they haven't aligned properly, all these things going through my head. I got in, the dentist took them out of the box, screwed them in the mouth, and just had to tickle one cusp. And he was amazed. He'd booked like an hour's fit time, and it was done in 10 minutes. And so we sat down and had a cup of coffee and patted each other on the back. So these dentists, many of whom are as experienced in analog as I was, and full of skepticism, which is a natural trait, are absolutely blown away by the wonderfulness of digital. Now, it's only really become in the last few months that we can do full arch restorations digitally, and I wouldn't suggest anyone new tries doing a full arch restoration digitally straight away. But the just start off with individual crowns, quadrants, anterior smile design. Oh, smile design, it used to be an absolute pain trying to whack all these teeth by hand, and now we do it digitally. We can approve it on screen. We send it to the dentist before we even print the model. You know, it just makes everyone's life so much more predictable. So to answer your question, Choxy, I'm sorry I've gone off piece a little bit there. The feedback from as I say, 98% of the dentists that we have helped work digitally is incredibly positive. Incredible. Yeah, you get the odd dinosaur, you get the odd person who who still thinks the Earth is flat, but the vast majority see the benefits, and you know, most dentists, when we first get to go digital, will take an STL scan, but they'll also take a traditional impression, just in case. Yeah, and literally within half a dozen jobs, they've ditched the just in case bit and work there. You know, so from a technician's perspective, you've got to, as I say, educate yourself. You've got to be positive to your customers. You've got to be positive to your dentist that we can do a better job, not a worse job. I think in the early days of digital, it was very much thought of as a sort of a mass production mega lab type solution. Well, now we find that we can offer wonderfully bespoke and individually characterized restorations that people treasure. And so it's if anyone did ever thought that it's for factories only, I can assure you it is not.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we have got into digital dentistry, as me and Shreya is starting this venture. During lockdown, we discussed about this and we came up with this idea of let's open up this new company, you could say, or startup, you could say, ToothSketch, where we are going to help not only the dental technicians in focusing more on their ceramic skills and producing more and finishing more and delivering more, but it can also help dentists because they can just look at their wax-ups or mock-ups, what you call now on digital mock-ups, and they can approve those designs and it comes straight to you. You can print it as a lab and off you go.
Well, I'm delighted that you two have taken the plunge to create this business and this educational podcast. What we've all got to remember in dentistry is that we are just at the very beginning of this digital revolution. Whilst we're in our current businesses, the main benefits are still yet to come. You know, I can see 3D printing of ceramic being not far away. There is in its design. I can see perhaps not in my working lifetime, but perhaps in 15, 20 years' time, most dental surgeries, rather than in a CEREC mill in them, will have a 3D printer in, and then businesses like mine or just become a design service. So you scan the patient, you send the file off to whomever you're working with. Their technicians do the design for you. It automatically comes through to your printer. You print the tooth, and it's fitted within a matter of hours. And there's huge business opportunities awaiting us all we've been already piloting this tooth in a day, as opposed to teeth in a day, tooth in a day restoration, where the patient will come, be scanned either by a dentist we work with within about an hour's delivery drive, and the chances are we might have several of these hubs around the country. And then the patient can just have the scan. They can sit in a quiet room, do some work from their laptop with Mark's Business Hub, or sit and read a book, depending on what they want to do, and then have the restoration fitted. Because many people in our society nowadays are very cash rich but time poor. And one of my best friends is the CEO of a big white goods company, and when he was told he had to have 6 visits to have his implant done, he was horrified. So men like him would be prepared to pay more money and only have one visit. So that's, I think, we're going to see working in our digital dental favour.
Yeah, definitely. And I think slowly, the percentage of dentists who are adopting it is just going to go up. And this is just the beginning, like you said. And it's only going to increase. And well, it's been wonderful having you here, Mark. And I think everything that you've said, all your insights are going to be so useful for any lab that is wanting to start off and start to adopt this workflow. It's just going to be very useful for that. And thank you so much for taking our time. This podcast.
You're very welcome. Yeah, you're very welcome. And as I mentioned before we started recording, if any of the recipients wish to contact me, ToothSketch will pass on my details.
Definitely, yes, we will.
We would definitely do that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.